Alright, we should be here. Notification went out a little early, but we should be alright now. I can exit out of this, and then okay, I don't need that, Sorry guys, 2 seconds to set up. We already have a queue for music to listen to, as you can see over here. This was posted right after the stream, or maybe even at the end of the last stream, looking at the time here. So that's the first one that we'll go over. There have been no submissions yet from patrons, so there's nobody that needs to skip the queue. And since we have a lot of tracks, I think we're just slowly going to get into it. I'll wait a couple more minutes for people to join and maybe to start posting their tracks as well. Let me know if everything is alright audio-wise, if I haven't been talking to myself all this time. Let me see, how can I... There we are. I do think Rainy here is a Patreon. Can I see that here? Yes, Patreon level 1. Okay. So they are going to get priority here. I hope this link will load. Mind be Alex Trix, welcome. Novice, how are you doing? No priority, please. Okay. That's easy then. As you can see over here. Okay, we're just going to start with the start then. Of course, you can opt out of the priority if you are a patron and you don't want it. But if you do want priority over everybody else in the queue, you get to support me on Patreon, and that will be one of the rewards. If you link your Discord account to Patreon, which it has to do, otherwise it doesn't give you the roles. That makes it so that I can see that you're a patron, so otherwise I wouldn't know. An amazing weekend. Nice. Nice to hear. Alright, I think we can get started. Let's start with the first one here. I need access. So this person did submit last week. I hope they are still here and give me a new link, because this is one of those links where I need to request access, which is not something that I want to, I guess, bother him with now. If he wants to resubmit, then he can do that by just resubmitting the link. Yeah, if the link doesn't work, then there's not much that I can do here. So I will move on for now. If they do end up joining the stream, then if they ask, I'll tell them, of course. Anyway, Jonas here, also known as Palax Music, Understand Myself. Let's go with the first track of the feedback session. Was up for 30 plus hours partying next to one of the most beautiful beaches in Israel. Nice. I like the vocal. Nice deep progressive vibe. I like it. I like those plugs that you're putting every 4 bars. They could just have a bit more delay on them. Overall, it's looking clean on the transients as well, so that's really well done. Hello Mocha, how are you doing? You're not late whatsoever, we just got started 5 minutes ago. You're still in time for your track. Honestly, I like the bass line more when it's staying in the same note. I guess that's because of what I personally like in psytrance. This is maybe a little bit more progressive than what I would personally go for. Here it feels a little bit empty. Maybe a pad under it and the sub bass under it would be nice. Because this would fade away almost completely on a festival, I think. That's now something that, since I've recently gone to a festival, that I seem to take into account. Like, I try to imagine how it would sound on a festival, right? I really like the instrumentation for this one. This build-up could be a bit more stereo, I would say. It becomes more stereo now, right? Because there's less stuff going on. But it's nice when the build-up is nice and wide that it then kind of snaps back for the drop and makes it a bit more powerful. Yeah, this synth could fade out over a little bit over a longer time. What I would personally probably do here is tie it to the beat, the delay length, that you kind of keep the groove of the wax in the delay part as well. Clap is a little bit on the loud side, I would say. I think I already heard that in the build-up as well, where it felt a little bit too upfront, maybe also a bit too mono. Overall though, very nice track. I really like, as I said, the instrumentation. The mix is also very clean. Like the little details in the outro here as well. Very cool done. And then you progressively raise the energy level. That's kind of part of the genre. How can I submit the track? All of the information should be in that post there. You can get in my Discord server. Make sure that you read the rules by clicking there before posting. And then you can submit your music. Anyway, next up we have Mocha.wave, also known as just Mocha, with metronome. Anytime I see that it takes a while to load, I always look at my connection thing, but that seems to go smoothly so far. Did we have another submission? No. Why is this taking so long now? There we are. It is very tired today. SoundCloud does not want to cooperate. Very long reverb tail on the snare there. I feel like it's the snare is right now a little bit too loud for the kick. You can even see the level difference between just the kick and the snare here. I like the emotional, like wobbly chord thing.
As we dance to a beat that seems out of time.
That felt a little bit
In the metronome of your mind.
out of tune at the beginning.
That our rhythm looks strange or causes your thinking to be rearranged. Could it be that you would understand this beat to which we dance more clearly had you been given a chance? So as you struggle to find the feel with your feet, ask yourself, can you dance to my beat? As we dance to a beat that seems out of time.
That dance that he first said sounds out of key and the rest sounds good to me. At least it doesn't really stand out as wrong, right?
Causes your thinking to be rearranged. Could it be that you would understand this beat to which we dance more clearly had you been given?
I know the submission channel rules say no remixes, but what if it's Skill Music remix competition? Then that falls under remixes, so it's not allowed. I like the overall building up that we're getting here. See if we get some contrast to that more melodic part. Nice. I still think the clap is a little bit too loud. Not as overpoweredly loud as it was in the intro, but still maybe a little bit. Overall though, I think the kick could have a little bit more punch area over here. It feels like it pitches down really quickly into the sub frequencies and doesn't stay in the lower mids long enough. I have no idea, Novice. I would need to listen to the track again. I cannot answer you that on the fly. I like that the metronome vocals are actually in time. That's funny.
Out of time to the one you feel in the metronome of your mind. Does it offend you?
From their own rules, remixes may only be shared on Skill Music, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, and Mixcloud. No risk of copyright claim. Well, the rules over here say means that any remix or bootleg will not be played. Not that only copyrighted bootlegs won't play or stuff, any remix. So that's not a rule that I'm going to break just for that. This is the rule of the stream. That's what I'm going to stick with. I'm sorry, but that's just... Because otherwise then somebody else is going to say it like, oh, then my remix can also play and then my remix can also play. And I already get claims on every stream, almost. So I don't want to deal with that.
So as you struggle to find the feel with your feet, ask yourself, can you dance to my beat?
I feel like this drop started a little bit slower than the last one, and I would have hoped that there would be, I guess, something extra to it. Maybe like an extra layer, because it's the second drop. You want that to maybe be a little bit more diverse from the first one, to be a little bit less repetitive. Up until this point it sounds very similar to the first drop. It almost feels like you're frequency shifting the vocal at this point. Like sometimes it feels like it's about to go up or about to go down, which is maybe a little bit strange. I don't know if I like that. feel like maybe there's like a modulation point that, or a modulation effect that may line up with the vocal in such a way that it alters the pitch a little bit, and that is what we're hearing there. A little bit of a strange ending. It felt like with the bass still playing that it was like a long fill or something. So when the kick didn't come back in any way, it's, from what I understand about DJing, it's not great for DJing out a track like this. Like you probably want the kick to play up until the point where the bass also stops playing, ideally. So that is, there is the spot where you can change from one bass to the other, right? That is where you can overlay two tracks. If the intro starts of the other track starts with the same length of just the high elements and then goes into its kick and bass, the transition would go like seamlessly. You wouldn't even have to switch around which track is providing the low frequencies, which is normally how you, it's like the most basic transition. That's all I know in terms of transitioning between two tracks. I'm not an expert on DJing, but from what I understand, you would want to still have the kick in there, because that is kind of still the driving groove there. And then once the high frequencies, I guess, come on its own, that is where the kick drops out, and that is where the kick and bass of the other track then would come in. I'm on a barbecue right now, so I can't really hear the feedback right now, but I'll get back to the stream and hear the feedback carefully after. Sorry for taking your time, guys. Doesn't really matter. You submitted prior, I believe. Yeah, a few days prior, and that is where it's for. For anybody that doesn't know, if you cannot make it, or you have something else to do, or you just want to make sure that your track gets feedback on, you can send them earlier in the week, and then they're already part of the queue. So this is what we have done. This was a track that was submitted last week after the stream, as you can see, for the next live stream. So that was the first one that we played. Again, if the person that submitted this track is watching back, make sure that your links are public next time that you post it in, especially if you're posting it in advance. Which in this case was not their intention, because I believe... Oh no, the queue has been closed for quite a while already here. Yeah, no, then I don't know why. But the queue was already closed when I did that, so... They didn't see that or ignored it or whatever. Either way, next up we have Subdivision, a projector, new track. I've nearly finished. What could I add / cut or fix before the master? Thanks. Beyond Time Mix 1. Sorry, let's see. In a place where you have a little bit more space, because right now what ends up happening is that you're very, very high energy, and then it goes very low and then very high again, and you're obviously going to have like delay tails and reverb tails that are going to be fading out there. And if you want the lead mix wise to be as aggressive as it needs to be a main element, I guess, if you were to mix the lead like that, it would probably fade into that little effect so much that it would be really hard to hear. Good man. Yeah, I was busy a lot, thanks. I'm good, how are you? I'm doing nice. I'm doing well, sorry. Nice is not the way that you say that. Although it's a good description of how I'm doing. I have also been fairly busy over the last few days. A lot of arrangements outside of the channel that I had to make, and other works, stuff around the house, that kind of stuff. So it's nice to just have an afternoon to sit here and listen to some good music. we have 2 more submissions, both from non-patrons, so we can just continue going here for now. The next track is Alex Tricks with I Am. I can play it from here. Let's hear, this is as an intro for a gig. So this would be the start of a live set. It is indeed that kind of fading in start that you often hear. Some tracks have intros that are very aggressive and all of a sudden, but I think for sets, intros, you often hear that it's just starting out like very, very slowly. Dark Star, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. How are you? I'm doing good, thank you. Given that the title is I Am, I'm suspecting or I'm hoping for some really strong vocals that work with that theme.
I am power.
Nice. That is exactly what I meant. Would love a little bit of stereo width on the bass line here. I also feel like this maybe makes no sense, but I feel like this bassline could use my technique where you resample the envelope into the wavetable so that you maintain a pitch at a certain frequency, because right now with the phase shift it feels like it's slightly going out of tune, maybe. Like it doesn't feel as stable as I would suspect from it. It is nice and clean though, so I'll give you that. Overall balance is very nice. With these kind of synths, I would probably recommend filtering the high frequencies in some way so that it's a little bit more movement and it doesn't stay the same all the way up.
I am power.
Learned the trick from your vocal effect short this week. Yeah, I did hear the reverse into it. Really nice. I did the one with it's pitching up and pitching down, that kind of thing. I really like all of the ideas that we have. This idea here, I like the 16 note fucks. I like that a lot. One of the things I would do is maybe try a little pitch envelope at the very start so that it gets a little bit more impact. Do you know what I mean? That those sometimes in other genres you add those very short pitch envelopes to sounds, and it gives it like that click that you hear. Bro, I'm a hardstyle DJ, can you give me some tips? Yes, play hardstyle. Yeah, no, I don't know what you mean. I don't know, like in general. nice. I like that. Again, one of those tracks where each segment has its own unique element, or at least it sounds very unique, which is very good. That is exactly what you want, of course. I had to beef up that melody with a layer or something. You don't really have to do it, I think. Is this the same thing? I don't think it's the same thing. Maybe. All you have to do is, in the synth that you're using, you just make like a very, very short envelope. Let's say like 12 milliseconds like this. And you just assign that to master tuning. And then you can set the amount here, and then the length will also determine how aggressive that click is. But it gives it a little bit more snap. Right now it feels a little bit soft on the transient. Here as well with that main plug ARP, it's not really mixed yet as a main element. It's not really, you know, pushing you. It's just kind of softly sitting in the background. And the one shots really overtake it almost completely. So what I would personally do is I would mix that a lot more aggressive, a lot more compression, just a little bit of extra loudness. Maybe around, like I said before, around 6K, a little bit of extra white right under where the cymbals sit. Those kind of things. Very cool stuff. Kiss Hut, hey, how is it going? It's going very well. What do you see at the second visual track? This one over here? Yeah, I agree with Mind Beat. The track sounded very good. I really liked it. Still working on some bits, so so keen to hear your thoughts. I hope that the feedback was helpful. Yeah, I'm waiting for a response for Kishnut if it's this one over here. Kish Hut, sorry. Yeah, so this is a waterfall display, and this displays frequency over time with this intensity. So if I just play, you can see where, you can see, for example, where the kick is, where the transients are. You can see if synths are misaligned. If, for example, you see this noise over here starting halfway through, as opposed to right over here, that's something that you would be able to see. You can see how the envelope of the bassline goes. You can basically see how frequencies play over time. One thing that it doesn't really show well is how collapses work, because you can see there's a kick over here, right? And we expect, okay, from the transient we can see that the bass note, the first bass note should probably start playing here, but we can see that this line kind of basically continues. That is just an issue that this analyzer has. That is obviously not actually happening, because we saw that the bass line was actually cleaned up, so resampled. So the bass line does actually stop at the kick transient. So I wouldn't use this to go check for frequency clashes and that kind of thing. It is just a neat way to see if everything is aligned in time. And sometimes you can see some like lower rumbles in there and stuff like that. So that is basically what you get. Next track coming up is a killer. Next track coming up is Mine B with the colors. Very nice artwork. Let's see. I haven't heard this track before. This is my first time hearing it as well, I think. We're getting to an area where we're becoming a little bit too wide. I feel like there's a few elements that are really in the stereo field. Like it's not just the master being too wide in total.
Transforming kaleidoscopic visuals. Wow, oh my goodness. Wow.
I like that gated texture that sits behind everything.
Visuals. I have never experienced visual like this. Experienced visual like this. Experienced visual like this.
Very nice. I think this is still a work in progress, so it definitely needs to be cleaned up. But the sound of it, very well done. I like this pitch bending idea. I think, is it like actually pitch bending or is it just clever use of melodies? I like it. In this case, what I would probably do is remove the element, that FM synth that was the main element in the last part, and I have the plug take over, because now it feels like it's getting too busy here. Yeah, for a little while there it was just a little bit too much, a little too busy. Sometimes hard to hear what you want us to focus on there. Pitch bending, cool, very cool. I think that is one of the benefits of wavetable basses. You can do that and stay clean without having to resample. Since you're doing such a complex clap pattern, it may be cool to sometimes have just the normal claps.
This tube. Wow. The colors. Whites, and reds, and blues. Wow. I just went on. Holy shit. This is wild. 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 Wild.
Cool. To be honest, in the break I can see a break being done also, or you could do a break without having those orchestral percussions in there, because it felt like when those percussions came in it was a little bit hard to follow the vocal. I would personally just build it completely around the vocal and just use like pads and stuff that doesn't really get in the way of it. I like this. I like how there's like a lower layer coming in with it. Really cool melody. Personally, I would probably have it high pass in for 8 bars in the last segment of the drop. Here again you get a little bit of that effect where it becomes hard to hear which of these two main elements do you want me to listen to. So I would probably mix that vocal in at a lower volume. Very cool. I like it. Any chance to add a timestamp graph? I don't know what you mean. If you want me to like have this playback somewhere on the screen, that is a little bit hard to do because I need to move it out of the way, and that would mean that I would need to place it in such a way that it's always lining up, and I not only get like SoundCloud tracks here, but I also get other links and stuff like that. So there isn't really a good way for me to, unless I let you guys submit before the stream even starts, and then don't accept submissions during the stream, which is not something that I would like to do. I would like the stream to be more interactive than that. I don't think there's an easy way to just uniformly show a timestamp of where we are in the track relative to like the end or something like that. I want to see a timer playing along with the track. Yeah, I don't think I have a good way of doing that. I would need to set up something then on my Stream Deck. I need to redo my Stream Deck anyway, because I have on my back or on my to-do list for like the next few weeks, one of the things that I need to do is make the break stream, the intro screen, and the outro screen for the stream. So, and then I would need to program that into my Stream Deck as well. So at some point I am going to probably implement that, and then maybe I can also implement like a one-click start timer button. That would be really nice. It's really hard to comment without the timestamp on some stuff. I do understand now what you meant by it, and I do understand why you want it. So that is something that I would need to look into, but that's something that I'll do once I'm also making those other changes. Like while I'm there, I'll also implement this one, and then I will have to relearn how my Stream Deck setup is going to work from there. Can't you use OBS timer with shortcuts? Yeah, but I need a one button action to start the timer. Right? So that if I just click play, I can just click with my finger, with the other finger, I guess, the timer. Maybe I'll even wait with it up until the new apartment so that I can set the Stream Deck to be controllable from my left hand, which currently in this apartment I cannot really do. And then I would be able to press them both at the same time. I don't think if I'm not... So the problem with like keyboard shortcuts is that they're very wonky in regards to Windows focus and how certain plugins focus. Because you can sometimes have a plugin that takes keyboards shortcuts as an input and doesn't let any key through. Right? So even if I assign a specific keyboard shortcut to do something inside of OBS, it can be the chance that I sometimes hit that keyboard shortcut and then the plugin kind of eats it up and it doesn't actually reach OBS. The plugin is like, okay, all keyboard inputs now that I'm in focus are for me, and I'm not going to spit anything out to any other programs. That is sometimes an issue, so it's not like a very stable solution. The whole fun part about the Stream Deck is that it's its own unique codec. In that it functions outside of it. It's not a normal keyboard. Right? It has its own code for it. It has its own driver. It has its own way of communicating with OBS. So it's all separated from any of that business. It just directly tells OBS, hey, do this thing. So it's a lot more stable, at least in theory. Okay, next up we have a track from Endless Experience, also known as Denon 4i Key. Hey, I'm finishing writing an album that I'll be playing on the Chill Out stage of Upside Festival. Any feedback on the ideas, realization or mixing would be helpful. P.S. Thanks for your masterclass. P.S. Thanks for your content. I bought your masterclass not so long ago. It's a masterpiece. Thank you. Hello, Bo. Welcome. Let's see. Adventure through the timeline. Your webcam and audio is out of sync. By far? Is it like a... I guess I'll take a break in a little bit and then I'll see if I can check that. I've never heard that complaint before, so I didn't change anything, so that would be strange if that was the case. I would need to check that. I like how you can see the distortion of the bass, that there's more stuff happening here and here than in the middle. Like it's two dots connected by less stuff, and that is because the wave spends so much time up here and down here, and it spends very little time switching between the two with the way that the sub bass is created. Very interesting. Nice sounds. I'm not a fan of the riser on its own. Like that. Like a riser for me is a background sound that just helps guide the other sounds through extra flow, and it shouldn't really be a sound on its own, in my opinion. I also don't like it when the side chaining is that obvious as it was on that riser. Okay. Strange. I'll double check it on my phone once I get into some sort of break in maybe like half an hour. Overall, very impactful, very nice sounding. Not a lot of things that I would personally change up until this point. Psybint is definitely not my specialty, but overall, just quality-wise and stuff like that, like the mix is nice, the high end is nice, it's coming through nicely. You don't want this to be too aggressive, right, with the high end. So a little bit of a softer high end, even though it still has that little bump that we like to go for in Psy music. Overall, I think the bass could have a little bit of extra compression and then a little bit of extra loudness just to make it a little bit flatter, because it feels maybe a little bit too dynamic in relationship with the stability of the kick, because you have a really nice solid flat kick and then the bass line is like very dynamic under it. Maybe it's a little bit too much in my opinion. power drum kits. It's kind of funny if you use a plugin like that yourself, how easy it is to recognize it in other people's music. Bit of a strange choice there, I would say, to have the drums stop a bar earlier before the actual beat stops. Personally, I like to tie them very close together, so that there's like unity between the kick and bass, I guess, and the groove elements of the track. It's kind of strange that the groove would stop a bar before you actually stop dancing, I guess is a way to say it. Overall, nice sound design, nice progression. Sounding very fresh, all of the different sections. This is a little bit strange. That is where I would expect to go into a drop. We got faked there. Bit strange sounding because you have two layers here where one is clearly more mono than the other, and now the more mono version is playing. So you had one that was like very delayed, very reverberated, and now it feels like we've lost a little bit of that dimension, I guess, from the delay and reverb that sits on the other one. Do you expect only trance, or do you listen to different kinds of music? I listen to anything. Whatever you guys want to send me, I'll listen to it. Hello Guido. Matt J, welcome, welcome. Here again that like, what's it called? Side stick or something like that? The thing that you do on the snare, on the side of the snare drum by hitting the like little edge that stands up, I think. Whatever that percussion was that is sitting on the 2 and the 4, it stops halfway through the section, which is a bit of an odd, it sounds odd because you're dancing to that, right? You expect that the snare, for example, in a normal sidetrance track, to kind of continue up until a section, and then there's a fill, and then you go back into it, and then you maybe change up your dance style a little bit, depending on whether the snare is there or not. Rim shot, indeed, yes, a rim shot. In this case, it just kind of stops halfway, so if you're expecting like, okay, anytime that I move my body to the right, there's going to be the snare, and then suddenly it's no longer there, you're going for a second like, hey, what's going on here? Right, there's no indication in the structure that such an important groove element is changing or completely being removed in this case. Yes, it stopped too early. Exactly. There should be a fill, and that fill, that is the indication like, okay, after this, some stuff may change about the groove, and then afterwards what you can do is you can remove the rim shot so that it doesn't play anymore. As opposed to just randomly stopping it somewhere. Maybe it's even exactly like at the halfway point of the section. Maybe it's indeed like actually too early even in, if you were to line it up with the halfway point of the section. But either way, I would just recommend going for any drum elements that is part of your main groove. So your open hat, your closed hat, any drum loops, and your main snare. For all of those elements, I highly recommend mostly sticking to going from fill to fill with the element. I see no high-tech tracks today. I'll post the one. So I will post the one some of you already heard when it was in progress. It's a bit more ready now. Okay, interesting. We did indeed not have any high-tech up until this point. There is Dipus, who generally makes a little bit faster music. But next up we have Rainy. Let me see the link. AC Dime with... Is that the whole title? Rainforest? It doesn't show me more, but the dots I assume mean that there's more to the name. Can I see the whole name? Info. Rainforest Acid. It still doesn't give me the full title. This is very annoying. Now here it shows me a little bit more about the title, but still not the whole thing. Why would you design it this way? Microsoft, one of the most valued companies, does not know that we would like to see the text or the name of files in their entirety before we download or play them. Rainforest Acid something. I don't know if he's here in the chat. Maybe you can shout out the full title. I don't know if I can see it here. I don't necessarily want to. Maybe if I download it and then. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is AC Dime with Rainforest Acid Shower Master V1 24-bit. Okay. Then I can cancel the download and then I can play from here. Sorry. Bachman, hey everybody, by the way, I submitted the fixed link at the bottom of this. Okay, thank you. A little bit of a busy part there, just like it's all flashing a bit. Interesting. I wasn't expecting the galloping pattern, to be honest. I like it though. See if we can see if the kick and bass is cleaned up anyway. I think that means that it's not cleaned up. I think I can see the kick over here going up. I think this is bleeding here. And I think this is also bleeding. Overall sound design is really, really nice. I like that. It felt a little bit strange that that part where the vocal was didn't really repeat. Like it played once. I suspect that would be like the melody of the track, right? Like the how would you, like one of the memorable parts of the track, I should say. So maybe you want to, for it to be really memorable, play it maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. Say that's an 8-bar section. Play 32 bars of that, and then you can take the last 4 bars of the 32 bars and use that for a fill, for example. That way you repeat it 3.5 times, basically. Because there's a lot of cool stuff happening in this track. There's a lot of cool sound design. It just feels a little bit disconnected right now. And there was potential for that one segment to kind of be the main element, to be the memorable thing about the track. In the sense that that is something that you'll remember for a month, right? Whereas the small detail sound design, all of the cool stuff that you're doing here is stuff that is a little bit more forgettable. Because it's... I guess it's naturally easier to remember a melody, as well as it being like over a longer period of time, especially if you do indeed repeat it. Very cool, complex stuff happening here. I think if I stay silent, it's a good thing, right? If there's no criticism, that is a very good thing. Overall, the production is very, very clean. Sounds very nice. A lot of attention paid to the details, obviously. Structure also makes sense, going back into the gallop bass line, technically not a rolling bass line because it's missing its first note. But that makes it probably easy enough to mix into a set as well. Sometimes with those complex basses it's a little bit hard to get them sitting nicely with another track, I guess. Cool stuff. I like it. Sounded very nice. Well done. Now that I'm speaking, can some of you guys quickly make like a... I think you guys can do that, right? Make a clip from my stream. There should be like an option where now that I'm speaking, you guys can make a clip, and maybe even here in full screen it's a little bit easier to see so that I can actually diagnose if there is a delay between when I say certain stuff and when my mouth kind of moves. Because there has been a case where that happened a few times now. I think it's part of the way that I record now for some reason, that there's a little bit of delay in the way that I'm recording. When I record YouTube videos, which is different because then I record my microphone separately from OBS. And then when I'm lining them up, what is funny is that I line them up by waveform first, and then I have to delay one of the signals by a few frames in order for that to actually line up with the video essentially. There's an insanely tiny delay, but it is there. You can see if you look and listen frame by frame. Okay, but it's if it's only there if you pause and unpause, then it's not really reliable, because YouTube's like the audio, I think if you're pausing and unpausing it, that is not really reliable, maybe. Let's see, if you guys can make me a clip and maybe post it in my Discord. I have a stream discussion here. You can make clips, right? Inside of from my YouTube stream. I should have that feature turned on, I think. If anybody can do that while I'm speaking, from maybe the part where I was speaking in full cam so that it's easier to see, that would be really nice, so that I can go back into it and I can actually check it out here. Maybe this is the kind of stuff that I would need moderation for. It's like a millisecond out. A millisecond would be really hard to spot, because that would still be in the same video frame. Because I stream at 60 FPS. In order for the delay to be significant by 1 frame, you would need a delay of 16.6 milliseconds. So 16.6 milliseconds, my voice would be delayed exactly by 1 frame of the stream. At least if 60 FPS is turned on. Which it should be. Yeah, 60 FPS. At least on my end. Maybe if for people watching that is not then, but even in that case, for 30 FPS it would be 33 milliseconds. Is somebody making me a clip, or do I have to just look back into the stream myself? Can I do that from here? I cannot make this or just open the normal stream from here, right? If you're on YouTube here. It is not then, but even in that case, let me go here. When I record YouTube videos, which is different because then I record my microphone separately from OBS. And then when I think if you play and pause, there's a difference there. But I think for normal watching, it's looking. What is funny is that I line them up by waveform first, and then I have to delay one of the signals by a few frames in order for that to actually line up with the video, essentially. That feels normal to me, because I've had a lot of issues with the latency, specifically in the shorts, right? Do you guys remember I had a time where all of my shorts had its audio delayed by a little bit? I think part of that was like a YouTube thing, because it wasn't happening when I was looking at it like in the edit as well as when I rendered them out. But I also noticed that sometimes like I told before, that I had to realign certain things. So I think there was maybe some delay issues on my end. I hope it's not too noticeable. I hope it's not too bad, too in your face. Let's see here. I think we have 4 more tracks. I think I'll take a quick break and then we'll continue watching. Like I said, it's hardly noticeable. Okay, perfect. Perfect. It's not that important anyway when I'm specifically in this view. I guess it's more annoying in full cam, because then I'm the only thing that you have to look at. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick delay here. Just 10 minutes. You know what? I'll put on the new live set that just released. For those that don't know, there was another live set that recently released over on Eclipse. If I go in my recommended, you'll be able to see it over here. And let's see. I'll play Rift here, and then the Lunarium ID. I'll play the 2 Lunarium tracks. I might not make it all the way throughout this track, but then if there's a next break, I'll play that as well. For now, I'm going to take a quick break. There's some visuals for you guys as well as some music. So stick around, and then we'll come back and listen to the other 4 tracks that are currently in the queue, as well as anything else that you guys may send my way.
Dude, I'm tripping on acid right now. Like, sorry. I'm just like, whoa, the line's moving. I have no idea because I'm just like, dude, this is cool as fuck.
I'll continue playing from here, from the same section, the next break. That way you guys get to hear the ID as well. For those that are interested in listening to the whole mix, this was the mix that is posted recently over at Eclipse. Of course, go over there and rack up some watch time to really support the channel. That is always nice. But yeah, we'll get back into the feedback. We also have one more submission here. Still no patrons, so no priority. Which means that we're going to continue with Dipus Holographic 7.5 Loves Master. Nice. I like it when the tracks are mastered. That means that people think they're finished. This is very wide, Dipus. You probably want to lower that to maybe like here. So you still get the nice stereo effect. But it doesn't... Because this is going to like actually become quieter in mono if this actually gets played on a festival system. I would also recommend lowering the volume of the bass before the kick and bass comes in, so that you get impact from your kick and bass. I see what you did there. I cannot see if it's clean or not. I guess we might get an opportunity later where we get to see if the kick and bass is clean. If not, now you know that you should do that. I guess I can see the kick transient, which is looking very clean. From what I can tell here, it looks resampled, but I cannot say with 100% certainty if you've done it properly. Sound design, as always, is top notch here with Dipus. It is nice, nice. I think maybe you're going a little bit too wet and too long on some of the delays. I feel like some of the delays really overpower certain other sounds. Like if you play one combination before the other. It doesn't happen with every sound, but some sounds feel like they get drowned out by the delay of previous sounds. I like that. I like that for the segment where the vocal sits in, there's less delay on the whole of the track. That means that the vocal does have an easier time coming through.
Please.
Here we go.
personally, I'm not a fan of the "here we go" sound right before a fake drop. I think that is a little bit too, like, on the nose, I guess. Is that the way that you say that? It really sounds like you're going back into it and then you're not.
Holographic! Midlife crisis!
It is kind of funny if you want to go for that. I like that you can see the actual smearing happening on the vocal. I think mix-wise, the best feedback I could give here is that it sounds like all of the sounds are kind of squished together in one thing, where I believe you're always, or at least almost always, at least in the busy parts, playing two sounds at the same time. Like in this section we have one sound playing, so it becomes fairly clear what to listen to. And you can hear the effect sounds are like behind it.
Again, midlife.
But in the more
Everyone has one of these. Holographic.
in the busier sections, it feels like the support elements and the main elements are at this almost the same level, whereas the support elements should probably be a little bit more below it. I think that is also one of the reasons why it sounded like there was a bit too much delay on some of the elements. Because maybe the support elements do have a lot of delay, so that they are put in the background like that way, right? As the support elements tend to have a little bit more delay, at least in the dry wet, not maybe the feedback. But in this case, it felt like they were still mixed closer to main elements than actual support elements, I guess. Is this night sci full on? I think it's more dark side. Just like the sound design and the structure of it and the way that you're using atmospheres and that kind of stuff, it feels more like a dark side track. Would be the right description for this. Sounds very cool. Vocals are from Divorce Dad's card game video. It's too funny, check it out. Well, I cannot see the link, because you cannot post links in my chat. But that sounds like an interesting thing to sample indeed. Looks like there's a lot of stereo winding on this track. It's not, did it feel out of place? Not really. This feels okay in terms of stereo feel. To me at least. Not really, more like Foresty Night, so I believe. Okay. Wait, you guys can send links in my chat or not? I think I've that turned off, right? So how do you know the YouTube channel? More forest vibes. Okay. To be honest, I wouldn't say that I'm knowledgeable enough about the differences between dark side and forest that I would be able to tell exactly which is which. I thought forest sounds actually had a lot more like actual animal sounds and like ambiences and that kind of stuff. Maybe not. I did not post a link. Okay. Which YouTube channel are you referencing then? Did I say something? Because this is the annoyance with the delay that we're on. We're on maybe a minute delay between when I say it and when I see your reaction in the chat. So maybe I said something like a minute ago that I don't remember. And I forgot. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to continue. Not to dwell on it too much. My bet on the link, this should work. Yes, Hoffman working title. By One Hit 0 WNZYA. I don't know what that means. Or if that even means anything. It's not like... One Hit owns ya. Aha. Okay, so this is an O. Or it's written as an O. One Hit owns ya with Hoffman working title. That's what we're listening to right now. Divorced dad. I thought he meant his own dad being divorced there.
Controversial substances.
Okay. So that's a YouTube channel.
A grain of salt
Okay.
precipitates a hazardous mental journey into a universe of hallucination, intense emotion, and some believe mystical revelation.
Nice. Kick and bass could be a little bit louder when we go into the drop. I like that the bass is stereo. I also like that it's clean and resampled by the looks of things. Bassline could be a dB or two louder for the level of the kick. Not really a fan of when you have the snares that they go so low in their frequency here. That you keep those low fundamentals. I think you can keep this resonance over here, but anything below it you should probably cut out so that it doesn't mess up what's happening in your kick drum here, for example. I liked where that lead became a little bit more metallic. I feel like the hats aren't really coming through a lot. The offbeat hats can use a little bit more volume and the accent hats can use a lot more volume because you can barely hear them. No, Divorce That is a card game by a dude called Dream Bade. I don't know him, so that's why I didn't recognize him. Sounds like the kick and bass is in the background. It does sound a little bit like that, yeah. Sometimes it's getting overpowered a little bit. But here, for example, this is okay. Some really cool sound design in here. I like the different like particle sounds used here.
These remarkable effects were discovered by the Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann in 1943. During the 50s, LSD was used widely for research in psychiatric hospitals. Then, in the early 1960s, LSD leaked out of the laboratory. With bizarre and unforeseen consequences, the drug was consumed by a generation of young people seeking spiritual transcendence and an escape from the conventional world.
It's a little bit like mix-wise here. One of the issues that I hear is that the vocal starts off being mixed well, in that it's clearly audible above all of the elements, but then all of the other elements rise just by the virtue of how the production goes, and the vocal doesn't, it's like slowly fades into the background, and by the end, the last half a sentence is not understandable for me. I like this. Sounds very groovy. Overall, the sound design and all of the ideas are really, really nice. It's just the mixing aspect where this track is lacking a little bit. I do agree with what Glyph said in that sometimes the effects sound like they overtake certain parts of the track. Here we just go into not really an outro, I hope. I think this is still a work in progress. So this is just kick and bass that they haven't produced over yet. Overall though, I really like that. You should just try to improve your mix a little bit. See if you can get that a little bit better. But overall the ideas are very nice. What is this? This is version very basic mix. That's not the same thing as here, right? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Next up, we have Novice 3030 with 190 BPM high-tech. They did say that they wanted to submit some high-tech because there has been very little on the stream. So let's hear what they have made here. Loomp Acid. Thanks for your feedback. I feel the same. I need to be better technically and clean it up. Overall idea is gonna work. Yes, exactly. I think if you take the Dipus track as your reference track, you should get very, very far, because I feel like vibe-wise you guys are very close to each other. Nice intro. Very sharp resonance there. And the kick and bass is fairly quiet for the intro. You also have some elements over there that overpower the kick and bass, like this woo sound over here. not a fan of what the hats were doing in their pattern, feeling a little bit random. As well as that one synth that was playing there, I didn't really like that one. This is already a lot better. Feels like a bit of a random riser. It even goes through like the stable bass note there that was still playing. Well, this is a very cool synth. As you can see, it's mixed in a way that it just completely overpowers the kick and bass. That wouldn't really work. You have a vocal like that, I would highly consider making wide delay. Something like the ping pong delay inside, or the stereo delay inside Echo Boy Jr. is very nice. Like this wide version over here. Bassline could be more powerful. Yeah, the kick and bass does lack a little bit of power here. I think part of that is a little bit of volume. I think you're also doing just a very small kick here. I know that may be the high-tech way, but if you want to do that, you probably want it to be more sub-heavy. You at least have like a strong oscillation over here for the sub. And the bass line is tuned decently high, like this is okay for the bass line, but it's not really that powerful. This is probably not the right space for vocals, because vocals need a lot of space in the mix. And if you were to mix that properly, it's going to be really hard for the vocals to sit in there. If you're going to have vocals in your drop, I recommend doing it on just clean kick and bass. That synth is the one that I don't like. I would say it's fairly clear that you're still starting out. Like, there's some cool sound design things that you're doing, but structure-wise this track isn't really making a lot of sense to me. Like, it feels like things are just placed one after the other, basically at random, to be honest. Like, there's not a lot of consideration throughout the track for how it's supposed to flow, really. Like, there are segments in which the flow itself is really well done and really well, like, it just works really well. But as soon as you move into the next section, that is kind of ruined. Either because you have a random pause and then just like this speeding up build up for 4 bars that we heard before. Some example like that. It feels like not everything is in the right spot, and sometimes the flow of the track gets interrupted. Then Lion, how are you doing? Hey brother, how's life? Any news about moving in the future? Yes, I'll be moving in September, or late August actually. Once I get back from WoW Festival, I move. And then the most important part is getting light, or electricity, gas, and internet and water connected as soon as possible. Because I only have the contract up until the 1st of September here. That's when I need to be out of this apartment. Meaning that to minimize disruptions to my work, I would need to have electricity already at the other apartment, which currently there is nothing. Sound design wise, very cool track. It's just that the structure doesn't make a lot of sense, and therefore the sound design doesn't really come to its full potential, I should say. Okay, next up we have Matt J with Soulmate, Work in Progress. I will trust Dropbox. Thank you very much. I'm wishing you strength for the process, man. Thank you. It will be a hectic time because before that I'm taking a half a week off to go to my parents, and then the other half of the week I'm going to a festival. So I would basically need to pre-record 2 to 3 weeks worth of videos in order just to have the normal schedule continue for that part. So there's going to be a little bit of hectics in there. I'm also considering another project that would also mean that I would need to pre-record a lot of material. But that would be worth it, because that would probably get me a ton of views. Or at least that is what I'm hoping, what I'm planning. But I won't spoil anything for that yet, mainly because I'm not entirely sure if I'm actually going to be able to pull that off the way that I envision it. And I have some other work to do prior to that. So there's a lot of stuff that I still need to do. I would also need to record shorts in advance for 2+ weeks, which is very annoying. Because nowadays my shorts take longer. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's listen to Soulmate by Matt J. Because you guys are here for the music, of course. Nice deep diesel drums. I really like this. I really like that this kick basically has no mid-range whatsoever. I feel like the bass is out of time. Yeah, it doesn't feel like the bass line floats well with the main movement that I want to do listening to this. Because the main groove is like this, right? This kind of slow, and I feel like the bass line, it doesn't really work with that flow, basically. I also like how seemingly the drums seem to evolve. Like, I don't know if I'm noticing more and more layers, more and more details, but suddenly the clicks seem to have like little bags on top of it and stuff like that. There's a lot of interesting layers happening here. This is really well done. This is really nice. The way that this synth just came in here, really cool. That is boring me though. I kinda disagree. I get where you're coming from in that it's always the same. But I like that it's like a... because it's very mixed in the background kind of thing. Everything else is kind of layered on top of it, so I don't necessarily have a problem with it not evolving enough. Necessarily. Am I drinking beer? No, I'm drinking my legendary iced tea that I posted a tutorial for. This track sits in a special part of the album. Yeah, with this kind of quality I would consider it special. Yeah, it sounds really well done. It's really nice. Next track that we're going to be listening to is here by Hubhub. Core 1, Work in Progress. I may have already listened to this track. I don't remember. We'll see, I guess. Seems very experimental. Like different rhythms and stuff even. This is the more experimental part of the stream, I guess. I'm just in awe of how all of the rhythms change with this one. What would this even be considered in terms of genre? Is this like industrial ambiental music? All kinds of like snare rolls and stuff. Stalking the enemy in a stealthy war scene. It does kind of have that kind of vibe, yeah.
What you do is what the whole is doing and takes for you are doing. Wait, the real you
nice little
is not a puppet, which to
harmony below it.
the real you that is the whole. When you die. Wake up. If you're not ready to stay pending I assume
I feel like this is one of those tracks where if you go to a contemporary art museum, this is one of the songs that is playing in the background in one of the side rooms of the exhibition. Okay, so now we suddenly have psytrance kicks, I guess. So is this going to be a psytrance track then?
The real you is not a the real you is
Oh.
when you
I don't like this. I don't know what's happening here. But first of all, this is very dirty. And I like the old drum pattern a lot more. You can still use all of like the synths and stuff like that. But I'm not a fan of what is happening here. Yeah, this feels like it's not the same track anymore. I was really enjoying the experimental nature of the first like 3 minutes of the track. Sounds like an intro of some sort. Did you think it was like really that intro? Because it's like 3.5 minutes long. At that point I would just write the whole track that experimental way. Because I feel like now it's coming kind of out of the blue. Like the track didn't work up to this in any way. It was just flat experimental stuff, and suddenly it halfway through it decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to become a psytrance track. Field going nuts. Yes, there is a very cool stereo effect going on here. I do feel like the second or third harmonic spanned all the way hard right. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Perfect after party music. Yeah, maybe for that. Again, I'm not really a fan of how this track is sounding now, because I was really digging the last part, but just judging this on its own, it does seem that it has gotten a little bit cleaner, although still resampling is needed, as you can see over here. Probably going to be really annoying resampling for a track like this, because you cannot just create, duplicate over whatever pattern that you've made, because you end up making patterns that are always different, basically. Around 50 BPM chill. It was more relaxing than the BPM would suggest, indeed. Overall, mix-wise, I don't really have a lot to say, apart from the cleaning up of your kick and your bass that you eventually introduced. Artistically, I would personally love a full, just ambience version of this track, where you just take the idea that you had in the first 3 minutes and do that for 9 minutes, where it's just experimental and always morphing and always new drum sounds and always new patterns and all of that kind of stuff. If you can keep that up for 9 minutes and keeping it interesting and stuff like that, I think that would be really good. Do you really think that the kick and bass were overpowered for the rest of the track? It didn't feel like it was really like squashing the leads and stuff out of the way. Right? This is a very long outro. I was hoping maybe we'll get something spectacular towards the end here. Maybe you're still working on this part. Or maybe you left in a very long ambience loop and forgot to take it out before rendering. Either way, cool stuff. I like that. Next up we have K, who did not read the rules of posting here. Services like WeTransfer don't allow me to do that, so please don't use those. What that means is that I have to download this first before I can listen to it. It would be much easier if you just send it in a way that I can play it and not via WeTransfer. I don't want to download the track before playing it. I want to just be able to play it in the browser. Maybe if he wants to change his link, that would be nice. Otherwise, I'll download this. Why can I? Oh, I have to accept it. I don't like WeTransfer as a service. Just their page is annoying. It's always moving. Stuff is always happening here. Images are always changing and stuff like that. Sometimes the whole background changes. There's cases where that happens. They do a lot of the it's just annoying to look at. And especially if I have the download page open to the side and I'm just waiting for it to download. Every time that it changes out of the corner of your eye, you just get drawn to it and it grabs your attention, and that's kind of annoying. Anyway, Twisted Maze by K. Let's have a listen. See, now I have to do this and this. I probably have to. Here we are.
I believe we should go this way, Commander.
Vocal could have 2-3 more dB, especially now that it goes
If we are indeed
open.
in some sort of labyrinth, then the logical
It's hard to hear
systematic
what is being said here.
all routes which do not lead us to our desired destination. The route that remains will be the correct one. Since we have been making a series of right turns, we should continue to do so until we are certain this path is not the proper one. There's a flaw in your logic. How so, Commander?
You're assuming there's a logical pattern to this maze we're caught in, but so far I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Even within chaotic systems, there is a pattern of limited
Do
predictability.
you hear how the melody just cuts off
Pattern out.
the
Distortions made.
vocal that we're listening to? Some very strange sidechaining happening here. Why is this bass note louder than this bass note over here? Also, you're bleeding heavily into your kick drum, as well as subsequent notes, so you would definitely need to resample your stuff. Even after sidechaining, you're still actually not fixing the thing that we tried to fix with sidechaining, which is bleeding into the start of the kick drum. I was able to play his link in the browser if you click the 8th Twisted Maze in MP3 player. I'll have a listen to that after, or I'll have a try with that after. I really liked how it reversed into this part over here. Overall though, the track feels a little bit empty. Maybe not even necessarily because there's no elements playing, but the elements that are playing are like very low in their mid-range, right? Like there's not a lot of stuff happening over here, for example. now it starts to open up finally a bit. Open hat is maybe a bit too metallic for my liking. Maybe also a little bit too loud. This lead is way too loud. It's overpowering everything here. Really strange phasing happening here in the sound design on that saw. Really cool. I like how you can see that strangely in the
Tell me something, Tupac. What is your logic
spectre,
telling you
or
about
the way
navigating a
the
that's
waterfall
constantly changing
analyzer
shape?
suffers. I like the vibe of this. Overall, I think the kick could use a bit more volume in respect to the bass. Like, the kick feels not powerful enough for the bass line that it plays with. Hello Tesla, how are you doing? Also Dada, welcome to the stream. And it's you right before, but I didn't say hi yet. Main melody sounds fairly mono to me. Like, it has a nice delay stereo. I really like that, these chops here. That's really cool. Interesting how you could see the DC or the peaking down, how the synth peaked down more than how it peaked up. You could see that on the stereo analyzer a little bit ago. There's some stuff that is a lot louder than the drop here. I do think that it's just the mix. Like, it's not like there's parts where there's too many elements playing or not enough elements playing or something like that. There's just a lot of mixing related issues in this track. I also really like the vibe of it, like just how it's written. It's
What does your logic tell you about
a
navigating?
little bit normal trance, and it's a little bit like the most rock style of psytrance, but even that is not exactly what it is. Oh, and by the way, in this section, don't put in vocals. You don't have the space for vocals in a mix like this. You're never going to be able to balance that in a proper way. It's as if Chester or Paul van Dyk made psytrance. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. This is a good place for vocals. Here there's nothing else going on. Maybe even if you remove the open hats, then it would be a really good spot for vocals. Or maybe here, right after the kick and bass actually stops playing, because vocals need a lot of space in the mix. And so if you already have a big element playing and you want to mix that as a main element, there's simply no space for the vocal to sit in. Okay. Remix. I see Matt J is here. Is this a remix of your track or somebody else's track? Because if it's somebody else's, then it's not allowed. Unique genre. Yeah, very much. I really liked it. Are you still here, Matt? I hope so. Remix of my own. Okay, perfect. Then I'll play it. Of course, remix from other people aren't allowed, but remixes of yourself is allowed. So this is Dubstep Sketch 6 Remix Work in Progress 6 with ending .wave. Sorry. Dubstep _ sketch _ 6 _ remix _ work in progress 6 _ with _ ending .wave. Nailed it. One take. Nice. Let's have a listen. Oh yeah, and this is by Matt J. Also known in the Discord or the YouTube chat as MattJ2217. It's crazy that there have been so many of them. This is either going to be old school UK dubstep, or this is a very long intro to get to modern dubstep, I think. Like it would be a set intro for modern dubstep. Maybe. I'm placing my money on old school UK dubstep. Yeah, now that I hear the drums, yeah, this is old school dub. Maybe, right? Like dub is when it's not even in the traditional dubstep pattern, right? Your mixes are so well done. There's so much definition in each of the elements. It feels like you're stretching out the spectrum a little bit more than everybody else is doing. But that's just... I think that's just the effect of basically no mid-range. Apart from kind of transients passing through it. There's barely anything happening in the mid-range here. And I think that gives us the ultra-wide spectral feeling. Right? Because we hear a lot of very high frequencies, a lot of very low frequencies, and not much in between. It's nice that. Maybe, yeah, it has some psychedelic elements to it, definitely. I do see that the like bass line doesn't really go out of the way for the kick drum, and it sometimes gets messed up here. I don't even know if that's a kick drum. Yeah, but here you can see it gets messed up. I don't think this is as bad of a deal as it is with psytrance. But if you can remove that, it will guarantee that each kick has the same level of punch to it. Which might be an effect that you're after. It's not necessary for this kind of music in the same way that it is for psytrance, right? Where really we want every kick to hit in the exact same way so that you induce that trance into the listener, so that it's clear this is where you dance, this is where the beat is, and there's like a little stop in the bass line before it, right? You fade out, and then half a millisecond later, the transient happens. Smiley song, yes. Don't they call it a smile EQ if your EQ kind of boosts the low frequencies, dips the mid-range, and then goes high up again. It's kind of funny, now that we have some mid-range elements, it feels less surreal, the difference between high and low frequencies. Just because there's some extra stuff filling up the mid-range there. Even here it's less than it was before. Nice little breakdown there. Little drum break actually. Smiley curve. Yeah, I've heard of that turn before. It is what you put. It is also what you put inside of a parallel compression chain if you want to turn your parallel compression into New York style compression. Isn't that what they call it? Peace music, no stress. Indeed, this is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this as well. Very relaxing, very nice. Overall, artistically, there's nothing that I can say. Like the detail that you're putting in each of the sounds and the way that there's always a little bit of extra interesting things happening, like those little bleeps and bloops. There's a lot of people that don't really think about that, but having it in there makes it so much more interesting. And even mix-wise, as I said, it sounds almost surreal how big this frequency spectrum feels to you. Parallel and New York compression is the same thing. I thought the difference between parallel and New York compression was that in New York compression, in the parallel chain, you insert an EQ to boost the low end, high end, and duck the mid range. At least I have heard that somewhere. Like there's a very small difference between like the sound that you get of it, but essentially the parallel part reacts more to the lowest and highest frequency. Which does some interesting stuff that I don't even remember. I might be incorrect, yeah, you might be right in that it's just exactly the same thing. As far as I know, it's indeed all the same. I might just be mistaken. Maybe I've misinterpreted even what they said in that they said, okay, we're going to set up New York compression, and then he added an EQ afterwards. And I interpreted that as meaning that it's part of the process. Nice little glitch part there. I really like this. There's so many just like small detail things like this that you're doing. Even in the way that stuff is structured. Like the drum beat, I'm pretty sure that it's always the same kind of rhythm on the open hats and that kind of stuff. At least over maybe 4 or 8 bars or something like that. But it doesn't feel like that. Very cool stuff. The outro here blends into the chill track I posted before. Cool. overall, if all of the tracks are like this on the album, then please send me it when it's finished, because it sounds really, really cool. I really like all of the flow, the breathing that sits throughout the whole track. That really became apparent also towards the end of it. If you manage to mix the tracks on the album in the way that you say, like, one fades into the other, if you can do that so that the breath of the ideas kind of continue, that would be really nice. Overall, I didn't give a lot of feedback to neither of your tracks because, to be honest, I wouldn't change much. They're pretty much perfect. I think maybe here or there I say some small things. And of course, I mentioned that you could technically clean up your kick and bass if you want to by like resampling. One, that is probably fairly difficult because it seems like there's not just one pattern playing the whole time, that you would need to do a lot of manual chopping and whatnot for that to work. And two, I doubt you get much of a benefit from it because it doesn't really matter for this type of genre. Like, you're not after the most amount of punch anyway. So, to be honest, I would, like, you would be okay not doing it. But if you want to clean it up further, if you say, like, that is actually something that I'm interested in, to just get it a little bit tighter sounding, then that is a way that you could do it. That is, like, specifically the kick and bass, so the low end. If you want that a little bit tighter, cut out the bass completely right before any kick transient and make sure that it fades in towards the sub and then is phase aligned with the sub and kind of continues from there. If you do that for the whole track, it will be maybe 0.5 percentage point better of a track. But that 0.5% could be the difference. We're out of tracks. We're out of music. I still wanted to take a break and play that other track that is part of the mix and show you guys some of the visuals. If there are more tracks posted after I come back, we'll continue listening. And then around that time, I'll probably close the queue. If not, I'll probably just end the stream after the break, because I can also use the time to record some videos, since the video that I posted yesterday was the last one that was scheduled, meaning that I still need to record the videos and edit them for next week, which is a little bit too late, I know. Anyway, I'll take a quick break. And did I close out of the mix? I guess I did. Let me quickly find that. Here. Yeah, we go Lunarium ID. After this track, I'll be back and then we'll continue listening to some more music if there is any. If not, I'll end the stream here. If you want me to stream longer, please submit a track. camera died? I think. Maybe it's having it too warm. I don't think I can do anything about that. Okay, I think we get this track now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to continue. I did see we have one more submission here. I hope... It looked like my camera turned off. Am I in focus? I want to be the focus of this stream. Yeah, it looked like my camera turned off there. So maybe it's overheating. We'll see if it continues. I don't plan on streaming for much longer. As I said, I have YouTube videos to record. But there is one more track over here. Tidal Force, 150 BPM in F sharp minor. Still work in progress. Let's play it from here so that we don't have autoplay. And let's have a listen. Bit of a unique start. jumping right into it. I assume that you still are going to write an intro. It's funny to hear that you're one of the people that writes their intro after they write the actual drop. Kick and bass is nice and clean already, I like that. Although a bit of stereo wave on your bass line never hurts. Yeah, here the kick and bass, it feels kind of disconnected from all of the other sound design, because I feel like all of the other sound design is already mix-wise placed fairly nicely in the stereo field. And the bass line feels, it can feel too mono to me. Like that mid-range, higher frequency, a little bit of stereo wave always does a little bit of magic. For everybody that is using kick drum, did you not forget to install the new beta and check it out when my video came out? Overall, mix-wise, I really like it. I do think this sound has played maybe a few too many times now. I think we've heard it like 3-4 times. It starts to become a little bit too similar, maybe. Not too fond of stereo bass, not in this style. I'm not saying like a big stereo layer that makes it very wide. I don't know if you have this plugin. If you do, try it out on your bass. I'm 99% sure it will upgrade your bass line. If you just high pass it like this, you guys are not hearing the actual result of this plugin. And then you find the right tone with the bands and probably the focus up a little bit. And then turning down the scratch, you just want it to be a little bit stereo, right? Say that it's mono before. Say I make it mono before just to give you an idea of how stereo you probably want to go from here. You probably want the graph of your bassline looking somewhat like this, as opposed to fully mono like this. Just a very, very little bit. That is usually enough to make the bassline just a bit more interesting in terms of tonality. If you have it, yeah, then check it out. It's really good at making that very small stereo with that adds just like an extra detail to your bass without it making it like a progressive bass line, you know what I mean? Because I understand what you're saying in that you are maybe afraid of becoming too progressive with it. But that's not like the vibe that I was going for with the feedback. I was more going for it like you can... It's kind of like connecting the bassline to all of the stereo synths that are sitting in there, in that there's just a little bit of that information in there. I really like the arrangement of all of that stuff coming back in. One thing that I always do is for the kick and bass that is part of any breakdown and or is filtered or is like coming in or something like that, and even for kicks in my fills, I always turn them down by 5 dB with respect to the main kick and bass, so that when the main kick and bass kind of comes back right after that stuff happens, it has more power. Like these kicks over here, I would personally probably turn them down, maybe not 5 dB, but at least like 3 dB. Gives it that chef's kiss touch. I see what you mean. Yes, exactly. I think in a full mix you barely even notice the effect. But it's just... it just does something special. I mean, overall the sound design here is exactly what I would expect from a Dada track. It's top notch. Some very cool stuff happening here. I like that repetition in there on the modulation. That last part needs more variation. That's now. If you mean that part with the like comb filter-esque synth that was playing where the modulation was the same every time I repeat it, I think that's nice. I think I would keep it that way, the same. So it's like a contrasting part to a lot of the chaotic sound design that you're doing throughout the rest of the track. It's just this small moment where there's that little bit of repetition, even though still in between there's other synths and stuff like that. I think that would be more impactful, like contrast-wise, than also going crazy with the modulations and the like removing the repetition from that one synth that was playing there. I guess it makes it stand out a bit more because it's not part of all of the chaos that is going on with all of the other sound design. Overall, though, great track. I didn't expect anything less of you, but very nice production. And next up we have a returning track here, The Art of War by Infrashell. We have played that last week. I think I addressed the issue you mentioned in the last stream. I still need some work, but I'm honest about what you hear. But I'm curious to hear your take. Okay, sorry. Reading, not really good at it. Sorry I'm late, my zipper got stuck. What did I miss? You missed a bunch of cool tracks. We've had some very good productions today. But you're just in time for your own track.
We cannot allow our sons and daughters to be sent to die in a bankster's war.
I don't remember exactly which comments were in the track last week.
Or for control.
I think it had something to do with mastering too loud.
Great strategies to war so that all confrontations are won.
I think over here the vocals have a little bit of issue coming through some of the other sounds because they're so dark.
Battle that has been won defensively. But we must prepare by becoming self-sufficient. We must prepare.
Now it's better because now
which has not been done before.
The rest of the intro elements mainly use lower frequencies. Like this higher frequency stuff really disturbs what you hear in the vocal, because the part of the vocal that you actually hear what is being said is the highest frequencies. Like the lowest frequencies is the tone of the vocal, and the highest frequencies are all of the different like changes in the way that the mouth moves, right? Like a T and an S, that is all high frequency, the difference between those things, I guess. I guess a good way of explaining it is by going like humming something. That's still the mid-range of a vocal, but it's just no higher frequencies, and therefore you cannot hear what is actually being said. Overall, it doesn't have an issue with loudness here. Snare doesn't seem to come out too much. I think you addressed the issues effectively here. By the way, I really like we find each other each Sunday, share some stuff together, really pleasant. I do also really like that, yes. It started to form a community of people that are here either every week or every once in a while, and it's really nice to see all of those interactions between the different people. and being able to host that is really, really cool. A little bit loud, I would say, on that pitching up and down effect. Maybe turn that down like 3 dB or something like that. Here with the crash and stuff like that. Personally, when I go back into kick and bass, I never put a crash. I only put crashes in parts right before the kick. So over here, for example, that is where we have a little fill, as opposed to a longer breakdown. From longer breakdowns, if you're going into it, I never put a crash. And I only really put crashes in the parts where my other top drums are also playing. Because that's more the high energy part. That's the part where you actually want the impact. When it comes to low energy parts of your track, you can get enough impact out of just your kick drum starting to play again. I think every clap slash snare has a pre-ringing component to it, right? Like, it's not like you have snares that start exactly at the transient of the kick. It feels like all of the snares have like that little fade into it. Personally, what I like when I have like they call it a pre-shifted clap. That is, I think, the term for it, or at least that is how Kashmir calls it in his pack. That is a term that I know for it. What I like to do for those is to alternate, so that you have a straight clap and then a clap that kind of sweeps in, and then another straight clap and then another one that sweeps in. That gives it a bit more groove than always sweeping in every time. It's a pre-shifted clap, yeah. You can hear it, right? It goes like zook, zook on the clap as opposed to just tuck. Sometimes, personally, I like to alternate that kind of stuff, as opposed to always having it the exact same. Overall, sound design wise, there's some really cool stuff going on here. I'm going to close the here. I see there's one more track after this. And that means that I get to roughly 3 hours of streaming, which I think is a good shot. I was thinking of going back into the Ableton project to make something. Are you also one of those people that produces in an Ableton project and then exports to mix in another DAW or another project? Oh, the queue is closed. Yes, indeed, the queue is closed. I have work to do. You guys also want videos next week, and I still have to record all of them. I would say this part feels a little bit low energy in terms of the sounds that are here, given that we're already at the full like drum loop. Now it's getting there. Now it's getting a little bit of that extra grit and that kind of stuff. If you are the kind of person, by the way, Infrashell, that does mix in another DAW, you don't have to go back into Ableton to actually fix those old claps. What you can do is, if you have something like LFO Tool or Shaperbox 3, you can go in here and you just use this at, say, a bar, and say that you only want the alt clap for the second one. You just do this, because now it just takes out the part of the clap that is before the kick drum that is playing on the second beat, right? So this is the first beat, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth. You just do something like this, and now you get your clap to be a normal clap. And even if you get clicks from that, slightly like move it backwards, just until you see something, this thing over here, and that should also remove it from the transient. There's a lot that you can do with LFO Tool, and you don't necessarily have to go back into the production project sometimes to fix those kind of things. But to answer your question, I use different hosts for different parts. Yeah, that is what I suspected reading that other comment, going back into the Ableton project. For this particular issue, you don't necessarily have to do that. But I can see in general maybe that's something that you want to do. Overall, great track. I really like it. I really like the progression throughout it. I really like a lot of the sound design that you're doing. Kick and bass, in my opinion, is a little bit too dark, but it's not like wrong or anything like that. Like it feels a little bit too over-processed for me, but it, for my style, for my liking. But I don't think it's over-processed to the point where it becomes too rubbery, too plasticky, like in general. Like it does work, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Overall, as I said, great track. We're going to move on to the last one, which is Windfall. Sup buddy, how are you doing? Could I get feedback? Could I get the feedback at my track? It's unreleased and not finished yet. Hope you like it. I hope it too. This is 140D Ableton 11 V2 by Windfall. I like the bass sound, but I'm not totally sold on the kick. Yeah, I guess you're just a fan of the more deeper, aggressive bass sounds than I am. A little bit empty here. We had a strong element already play. Bit of a random crash there, because it's not like there's already a lot of high frequencies. Strange tonality to the kick drum. The bass line is also a lot louder than the kick drum, which is not a good idea. The kick has a I like the bass pattern that you're going for here. Mix wise, it's just not good to have the kick quieter than the bass. It's also funny how the kick has almost no sub and the bass is just sub, almost. Like they don't really seem to work well with each other there. Normally you would see the kick be a little bit more bloated and then the bass line be quieter than what you have now. I'm not really a fan of the seemingly random melody in here. Doesn't really sound too much like a sidetrance track. This track gets really quiet in the breakdowns. Yeah, that's way too quiet for the pad. That pad should be double the volume at least. And thanks Project for the feedback. I think I'm going to give that track a rest for a week or two and come back with refreshed ears and try to hammer out the last details.
Not a world of words.
Sounds good.
That you cannot express.
It jumped back there for some reason. I don't really know why. I like your use of vocals in spots where they have clear space. That's really well done.
That you cannot express.
Although over here there's like a little melody cutting off the end there. In that case you probably want that melody to be quieter than the vocal. The breakdowns also lose all energy. If you're going for like a powerful track like this where you want like very deep sounds and a very strong kick and bass, which is seemingly what you're going for, it feels like the kick and bass should maintain some power when doing that. I think my camera died again. Yeah, I think my camera is overheating. So I'm going to leave it off. And that will be the last part of the stream then. It's getting warmer here in northern Italy, and my apartment specifically is really bad against the heat.
It's impossible. The computer's gotta be wrong. 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 Computer's gotta be wrong.
Very long tail there. Very long time to wait. As you can see, clearly no resampling happening on the kick and bass. Again, the bassline is still way too loud. I also think the bassline just has way too much sub bass. Like the sub bass doesn't really, the sub bass is way too loud for the harmonics that sit above it. So I think that is the main issue here for that track. Overall, it is clear to me that you're still a beginning psytrance producer. So my biggest feedback would probably be every day for half an hour, listen to your favorite music, your favorite playlist in psytrance on the system that you're producing on, and within a year you will see results of improvement. I think that is the biggest feedback that I can give to any beginner when it comes to doing these feedback streams. I know that there's probably like very specific things that I can say in regards to a track like this and other beginner tracks, but I think the more important thing for a beginner is that they just need to learn how to listen, right? And that is something that we all had to learn at some point, is that keen ear for mixing details. It is funny that it goes so slowly that you cannot see it or that you cannot notice it actually happening, but I'm 100% sure that I must be better at learning or hearing individual instruments within a full mixdown as I was when I began my musical journey. That at the end of the day, I still know that if you're listening to a rock band, that there's two guitars playing, one drum set playing, and the guy singing on top of it, and maybe some production in the background as well. But I'm certain that nowadays I would be able to hear, like I would be able to decode it better. That must be true, because that is the thing that we're trying to hear when we're listening to like references, right? We're trying to hear, okay, which instruments are in here and how are they balanced? And the more you do that, the better you have to be at something like that. You need some cooling for your webcam. I do have a ventilator for it, but it's currently in the other room because it hasn't happened this year yet. but I indeed need to cool my webcam. Or my webcam, my camera. I don't have a webcam, I have like a Nikon DSLR camera. I had this problem last year too in the other apartment, but to be honest, I kind of forgot that that was a thing that could happen. But it indeed is, so from now on, that means that anytime I'm streaming, I have to have the ventilator kind of blow air to it, and then it's all fine, and it's all good. It doesn't even get close to hot enough to overheat then, at that point. Either way, I think that's a good time to end the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed what we did today. I hope the feedback was all helpful for you guys. And I hope to see you in the next one. See you guys. I'm still going to wave to the camera because that's what I always do. But you guys just won't see it, okay?